Hey, we have light.
We do.
Here's Lee from Ashdown. Hello, Lee from Ashdown.
Hello, Henning from Henning.
Should we make this a very boring video where... So, Lee, what new stuff have you brought to this trade show?
Nothing.
Oh, and that was Lee from Ashdown. So, Lee, bass.
Yes.
That's difficult in terms of amplification because in the studio, most people go DI directly into the big board or into like a little preamp, but really an amp in the studio, you don't mic a bass traditionally.
Yeah, but many do. A lot of guys these days do use preamps and just DI and all the rest of it. But I know a lot of artists who still demand to have either use their amp and DI their amp, or actually mic their amp. And what most people tend to do actually is blend the two. So okay, you will tend to run a DI signal. The artist wants that because they want to really annoy the producer. Probably, yeah, because every artist will always want to have more and more weeks in the studio and make some guy rearrange microphones 50,000 times.
But the engineer, the producer go like, dude, just plug in the frickin' board.
They probably do. They probably do. I mean, I don't know. It's something that probably might need more exploring and something the differences between doing it the two different ways.
But that's always been that way, which means amp sales or bass amp sales haven't declined because of that, because it's always been done this way.
Yeah.
But we now have in-ear monitoring on stage.
We do.
Have you noticed that influencing sales in bass amps? Because you still need a bass amp as a monitoring system on stage.
You do. I mean, many amps. I mean, we know many artists who have gone sort of totally in ears and just not using any backline at all. And a lot of those artists have actually come back to using amps on stage because they're missing feeling it. Because bass is something that a guitar, you don't feel it really. Bass you really do, and especially for linking between
guitar you don't feel it. What are you saying, Lee?
You don't feel it in your gut in the same way you do bass.
That's true, that's why I love playing bass.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if you stand on a stage with someone with a serious bass rig like Geezer Butler's or something like that, you can feel it, and what we often do when we're testing new amps, it has to do the does it make you feel sick test. And when we test everything, we will turn the bass up, we'll turn it up, and if it makes you feel sick, we're like, good, job done. If it doesn't do that, then we'll carry on.
Can you do that as a tagline?
Ashdown, probably hashtag
Ashdown makes you feel sick.
Yeah, but in a lovely way, you know.
Yeah.
Not in the bad way, not in the sort of next morning horrible way. But no, you need to feel bass, and that's the thing with DIing in ears and all the rest of it that is missing from bass.
And that's also the fun. I mean, I can hear it in my ear. That's all good, but if I'm like thumping that low B and I'm like, oh, dude,
You should be flapping your trousers and punching you in the stomach.
Whether or not that makes sense, that's beside the point. We want the fun.
Yeah, and that's what, isn't that what we're all here for, and isn't that what music is?
So earlier, we talked about that, and he said, Lee said that many people like to record through their amp to get the flavor of the amp, even though it's DI.
Yeah.
I always thought, well, but isn't a good bass amp really just as transparent as possible?
Some are. Depends what the people want. With many of our amps, it does have an Ashdown flavour to it, and that's what people tend to like, especially with the ABM, where you've got a tube in the preamp and you can really warm things up with the tube.
Which one is that? Can we point the camera at that?
You absolutely can. It's the ABM there, which is the amp that most of our artists use, and a lot of guys are so used to loving that sound on stage and on the road, and when they're rehearsing and all the rest of it, they still want that tone on the record. And that's probably one of the most recorded bass amps there's been over the last 20 years when people do use amps.
And a VU meter makes everything better.
You need more VU meters in the studio, don't you? It's not a studio if it's not full of VU meters. So, we always like to add one for the bass players as well. But it's important for us, we feel, to use a real bass amp.
So what do we have? We have a low to low mid, and then a middle knob, which is that compression? No.
Yes.
So what does that knob do? Is that a specific mid frequency?
Yes. Which off the top of my head I can't tell you.
So it's a good one. It's the best one.
The best mid frequency it is, because you've got your three main frequency ranges. So your bass, your middle, your treble. If you want to be simple, and you can use those to quickly get the tone you want. And then you've got the three sort of bass and low mid sliders and the 3 mid to high sliders.
So you guys went cheeky because you could really just have made those 3 also sliders, but you went knobs and sliders,
Yeah.
so it's graphic EQ and a normal EQ.
Yeah, absolutely, because these are just a lot of guys just come to an amp and they just want to write bass, more bass, right, less mid, right, treble, more treble.
And then
and they'll keep those like that, and they're good to go. And for those guys, the amp's great. If you really want to start fine-tuning, though, we've got a boomy room or anything like that, you can start fine-tuning where you want to be and really get the sound nailed. You've then got a valve drive, and on this version it's called a valve drive plus. When that's out, the amp is totally solid state. When that is in, it brings the valve into play, which is the 12AX7. And basically, as this comes around, it adds more voltage to that preamp tube, and you go from a bit of warmth all the way around to a bit of grit, and that can be foot switched in and out. So
now I want to know, but be my mic stand. So we have the valve in.
yeah,
You take that out.
yeah.
You definitely get more of that high-end sizzle. It's not drive, it's clarity in the high end, in the high mids. Get it? Here I am.
then-
Something about the wind.
You should also add a bit of subharmonics, which is basically we did on our first ever.
Say that in the mic. This is how that works.
Ah, I see. Would work better this way. Subharmonics, which is something we invented on the first ABM 22 years ago. A lot of people do a version now. But if we have a little play, this will add a sort of octave below what you're doing. So especially if you're playing the higher strings as well.
Ah, I hear it. So you're giving it power by subtly adding a lower octave.
Yeah.
That's nice. How much can I drive this by wait the output? It's never. This valve drive is never distorted. It only adds that grizzly tubey high end. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And those are not expensive as far as I know.
8 to 25 euros.
8.25 euro.
Retail price. Which is
That's really not bad. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Now I want to know if I can capture that with a DI out.
Absolutely. I think that would be a worthwhile investigation.
I think we should find out. I think we should find out is what I say now. And we're gonna leave, and gonna say animals at the end. You say animals at the end.
Yeah, we're going to leave Lee and we're going to see you guys soon.
Father, I have lost my way, left the path I went astray. What I could have become someday, Father, have I lost my way. Mother, have I sold my soul? I feel quite lucky all in all. I didn't fly, I couldn't fall.